rebuilding. The catastrophic failure, a new start. Physically, mentally, our careers, our businesses. Step back, first step, next step. The driver in me just wants to get it done tomorrow. We'll do this, do that, let's move this, where are we at with this? You build some confidence, build some self-esteem, start to feel better about yourself. The Silverback Blueprint Podcast, a show for men over 40. We focus on getting stronger, staying motivated, building discipline, creating a community, and becoming truly happy. Hey guys, before we get started on today's podcast, I just want to take a minute to let you guys know that our new Work Hard Motherfucker t-shirts are now available at hostilegear.com. Head on over there, use the code Silverback and save 20% and get this badass t-shirt. I know a lot of people have been saying, hey, what a great idea, can't wait to get it. So now it's up there, it's in color, it looks awesome, and make sure to get yours AS to the AP. And now, on to the episode. Hey guys, welcome to episode 82 of the Silverback Blueprint Podcast. Why I give spare change. This is something I do, and it's not about bragging and that kind of stuff. It's just something I do, and I know when I talk to some of my buddies about it or I post about it and stuff like that, I'd say I get flack from a lot of guys, and which surprises me to a certain extent, right? So, you know, when you pull up to the traffic light and you know it's going to be a long light, there's key spots like in Ottawa or any city. There'll be key spots that, you know, the guys that, you know, are begging for change, and girls, you know, it's on both sides. They know that it's a long traffic light and they know there's a good spot they can walk up and down, and they have their little signs or they have their cup or whatever. And, you know, you'll sit there, maybe 20 cars, maybe one will give them something, maybe none will give them something. Sometimes you see a lot more. I typically will give, and I do it for a few reasons. Obviously, at the end of the day, I just want to help people. You know, the argument is, well, you know, that's just going to go into their arm or they're just going to drink it. Well, yes, there's a good chance that's what happens. But, you know, who knows where they are in the middle of their own addiction and in the middle of their own circumstances, stuff like that. And I'm not there to judge, right? You know, they should get a job. Well, listen, right? There's mental issues that happen as well. There's all kinds of things that happen to people that, you know, cause them to go a certain way and stuff like that. And you know, a lot of them just aren't fucking able to handle a job. You know, let's be honest. You sit there and say, oh, they should get a job. Are you willing to give them a job where you work? Are you willing to work besides that person? I'll tell you right now, most of you wouldn't want that because, oh, you know, I don't want to be around that. And that's okay if that's how you feel. But just that whole, you know, give them a job, get a job, isn't as easy as it sounds, right? At the end of the day, right, they're there for a reason, whatever that reason may be. Now, I hope that eventually they find their bottom or they find out what's going on or they get help and they're able to move on from that. You know, today, and this is where this came up, I was just heading back to the house to do the podcast here with Luke, and so it's January. There's a spot I go when I'm doing different things. I always know there's someone there. And you know what? I always keep a couple of bucks. I always keep a toonie in the side and stuff like that. At the end of the day, maybe that one toonie is the one that got him to go in and get a coffee. And when he was sitting there getting warmed up and starting to feel a little better, a switch happens for him. Or, you know what I mean? That's the final day where he's able to get himself some help or something happens. You never know. You know, at the end of the day, a lot of us have had tough times. A lot of us haven't had tough times, right? A lot of us don't know what it's like to be hungry. A lot of us don't know what it's like to be out in the cold and stuff, right? And I hope the ones that, you know, if you've never gone through that, I hope you don't go through that, right? I grew up a little tough. I grew up in some, you know, that kind of stuff. I've had some tough down and out times, right? So at the end of the day, part of the reason why I help out is I remember some of that stuff. And I remember some people helped me with certain things. So I want to pay it forward. I mean, that's an important thing overall, right? But at the end of the day, there's always going to be the less fortunate. And I think how we treat the less fortunate tells so much about us and how we are and what we're made out of. You know, I've been in that situation where I've been downtown going to get a bite to eat, and I see a guy, you know, that wants some help and stuff. And I've offered, say, listen, you want to get a bite to eat? I'll buy you lunch. And some of them say, yeah, thanks. Going to Burger King or McDonald's and stuff like that. Some are like, no, I'm good and stuff like that. But you know what? I'll still give them a couple bucks, right? I'm not the one who's going to make them stop drinking or stop using. But maybe if I can just help them a little bit, maybe if I can just show them a little bit of kindness, right? Maybe one day that'll get through. Maybe one day that'll be just enough. That'll be the tipping point for them overall. But you got to have compassion for people. You got to feel for people, right? You sit there and you want to think you're better than everybody else. And I know a lot of people do. But I'll tell you right now, a lot of people that feel that way are one fucking paycheck away from being there. There's a lot of people, that I know that have a nice house and drive nice cars that are at the food bank, right? I've seen it. I know what happens. I've talked to people at food banks. I've been there. I've seen it happen and stuff like that. Now, maybe shit goes wrong and all of a sudden the bills are too big and you just need help. And I think society, we should be there to help people. I think some people are more worried about what they drive and what they wear and what people see than taking care about what's important, on the inside. Right? I think that's just as much of a mental issue as the guy or girl on the street. Right? Worry about what people think and the appearances and stuff like that. There's a lot of people, that are car poor, house poor, because they put everything into that car and they have to have a new car every 2 years and they have to have this and they have to have the 2 trips a year. Nothing wrong if you can afford that, guys. Nothing wrong if that's the lifestyle you want. But at the cost of your happiness, the cost of food, the cost of no Christmas gifts, and that shit happens, man. To me, again, there's not a big difference in that mental illness as there is with the one, the guy and the girl living on the streets. At least the guy and the girl living on the streets are being real about it. I think there's a lot to be said for that. Part of me respects the hustle. Part of me respects the hustle of the guy and girl out there, right? There's one guy I always see in the one section all the time. Winter, spring, summer, fall. I fucking know he's going to be there. What he does with his money, where he goes at night, that's his, who knows what he's up to. But it's like fucking clockwork. Well, you know what? It's probably better attendance there than a lot of fucking people I know who work for the government that use any excuse to get the day off and stuff like that in half days and work half-assed, right? So I respect that hustle a little bit. I respect the commitment to, this is what works for that individual and that's what they're doing. They're fucking survivors, right? They're like the cockroaches. After the fucking nuclear explosion, they're still going to be there. I don't know, man. Tough as nails. Today, that guy I helped, I was at a stop sign, the stoplight, it was a longer one, and I saw him working it, and as soon as I saw him, I'm like, yeah, I pulled a toonie out and stuff like that, and I was hoping he was going to come all the way down before the light changed, and he did, and it was longer, and he actually had a conversation with me. He thanked me, and he asked me if I was going to watch the football game on Sunday. And I'm like, no, dude, I don't watch football. He goes, how about hockey? I go, no, I don't watch hockey. He goes, oh, and you can tell he's just he's grateful and he's trying to strike up a conversation. And his fucking half his teeth are gone. You can tell he's been living on the streets for years and stuff like that. But you know what? He was talking to me and I was talking to him, right? So there was that human interaction for a little bit there, right? Super valuable. He was being heard. And I think that's what a lot of us, need is we need to be felt. We need to feel appreciated. We need to feel heard. We need to be acknowledged. And I think a lot of issues happen is when we grew up without that. We're going to compensate some other way to replace that overall. So at the end, he's like, well, do you ride? Because I look like a biker. I go, oh, dude, I don't ride. So he looks at me and goes, well, man, what do you do? And he goes, I own a gym. He goes, oh, you're a bodybuilder. I go, no, I'm a power lifter. I said, I don't diet. I lift heavy shit. And we had a laugh. And all this happened within 45 seconds, 50 seconds. But you know what? For a minute, he got to be a normal guy, right? And for a minute, I had a conversation with someone who probably could really have used the conversation. And you know what? I drove away feeling just as good about it as he did overall. It's those little things, guys. It's that humanity, I think, that's super important. And I think if we remember that and we go out and try to help other people, either purposefully or when an opportunity arises that we can do it, right? Sometimes it's as simple as opening a door. Sometimes it's as simple as, someone struggling with a package. Hey, can I give you a hand? Do you know what I mean? I think there's a lot for that. And I think we've gotten away from that. Right? And sometimes it's the littlest thing, but that little thing could make a tremendous difference in your life that day, or in that person's life that day, or in that person's life period, or your life period. Right? It's those little things. Right? How we treat the lowest around us says tons about us, right? And to me, I'd rather be that guy, right? And someone listening to this, if they leave a comment, oh, you're enabling them. Oh, listen, I'm not enabling anyone. I didn't give him $100 to go out and score some heroin. I gave him $2. Hopefully, he buys some coffee with it or a sandwich and lives one more day, right? To me, that's how I look at it. That's how I choose to look at it overall. And that's how I want to believe that's how I'm helping that person overall, right? And if not, I'd rather have taken the chance to help someone and there's some benefit from it than to have just ignored them as if they didn't exist. And to me, I think that's a shitty thing. That's the kind of stuff I don't want to walk around with on my conscience or just on my makeup where I just, walk away from people. My wife says it all the time. She goes, "You'll talk to anyone." I go, "Absolutely. I've always been that way." New Year's Eve, we were out to see a Star Trek movie, just her and I, and we went to, I don't know, it was Jack Astor's or one of the things down at TD place, one of the roadhouses. It was New Year's Eve. It was quiet. There's one guy, we were sitting on the bar side eating. There was one guy sitting at the bar pounding back a few drinks, a younger guy. And wife and I were about to leave, and we're standing at the front foyer, and he's out there, the foyer and stuff. And he walks up to me, and he goes, he sticks his hand out and he goes, "Happy New Year, sir." And I'm like, "Happy New Year, brother. How, having a good night?" I had a little conversation with him and stuff like that. He felt compelled to say Happy New Year to someone. He was all by himself. And you know what? I'm glad I was there to have that conversation with him. And you know what? He just went about his business. My wife just goes, she says, you attract people and people just will have conversations with you. And I'll have conversations with people. Because I love it. I love the interaction overall. But I always want to be that guy that's able to have a conversation with someone, right? Because you never know what that conversation, could lead to, or just how it makes someone day. And you know what? It's the human factor. I think my other concern with people nowadays, we're concluding so much and we're in behind, I'm recording a podcast that you're going to listen to on your iPhone while you're driving the car, or you're alone on the bike, in your basement working out or whatever. We're cocooning, and that's just the way things are going. But we also need the village. We also need people. We also need the community around us to feel more whole, because that's how we're wired. That's the human factor. And I think the more we cocoon and the less we have that, I think that's how we're getting lost. And I think that's where we're missing out. And there's some emptiness because of that. Loneliness, emptiness. We want to belong to something. We want to have a sense of belonging, right? Even at the gym, we talk about that all the time, right? People, that's what happens. That's what they appreciate the most. Let's get past the great workouts. Let's get past getting fitter, stronger. That's sort of like collateral. What a lot of people that become members of Hostile, appreciate is the fact that they go somewhere where they're acknowledged, they're appreciated, they're a part of something, right? I have one lady who comes in, and almost every day I see her, she goes, "Oh man, I needed this workout today." She has a very stressful job, but she feels safe. She feels able to come in and deal with her emotions and have a great workout and put it out there and know that it's a safe place to do it, right? But there's that sense of community, that sense of belonging. She always has the biggest smile on her face when she leaves. So I'm like, that's fantastic. That's exciting to be able to have a service, a product, a brand that we can help people achieve that. That fulfills the shit out of me, right? My work, my life's work, my brand, what I'm building matters to people. So sometimes I sit back when I'm having a tough day, because we're running businesses and it's not easy, right? And when I have those days where I'm like, oh, fuck me, those are the things that pop in my head and make me realize, yep, I'm on the right track. Or a comment comes in on Facebook, or a message comes in telling me that, they love this podcast, or thanks for the help, or they saw this, or could I help them with something? Those are the things that pull me back and make me realize I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing in life. I'm in the right position. It's worth all the punches. It's worth all the struggles, right? So at the end of the day, we're all going to go through struggles, and we're all going to have the punches to deal with. That's just the way life is. So it might as well fucking be worth it than not have any value to what we're doing overall. So that's why I give spare change. Guys, I'll talk to you later. Head on over to iTunes, leave us a review, leave us a rating, a 5-star rating. Check us out at Hostile Gear, Silverback Blueprint, code for 20% off. And you know what? Next time you see someone on the side of the road that's looking for some change, if you don't do it, think twice about helping somebody out. You'll feel a lot better about it. And I'll talk to you guys later.